You will be paid about 15 cores a year to guard this lighthouse. I really want to get the job. There are also endless facilities like there will be no boss here. You can sleep completely alone. You can fish. You can do whatever you want. Your only job is to see if the light of this lighthouse is burning properly. If it ever goes off, you will turn it on again. That's all. You don't have to do anything else. You will just sleep with your legs up all day. But the funny thing is that despite all these facilities, it is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world because this lighthouse is placed right in the middle of the ocean. While you are here, you will not be able to communicate with anyone. Loneliness will always surround you. Another scary thing is that there are often big storms here. The violence of those storms is so terrible that sometimes the sea water overflows the tower and even death can occur in this job. What other great dangers can find their way here? You will know later. Now, maybe after seeing all this, you may have a question in your mind that why this lighthouse was built in the middle of the ocean? Was its function or not? Why do we always have to keep an eye on this lighthouse? Why can't its lights ever be turned off? To find out the origin of this mysterious lighthouse, we have to go back a few years. At that time, there were no cars, no other vehicles, or air routes for transportation, so the only way to travel long distances was by water. At that time, there was an extraordinary sailor named Campadarius. He was quite famous for being able to cross the sea even in very adverse conditions. Once, he was crossing a dark place in the middle of the sea. Just then, his ship hit some rocks under the sea. At that time, ships were made of wood, due to which cracks easily formed under the ship and the water entered and caused a lot of damage. After this accident, Captain Marcius started looking for a solution. He wanted to create something that could warn the sailors of the ship in advance to save them from such problems. But here the cause of great concern was the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, because the Pacific Ocean is so big and vast that if all the land masses of the 7 continents were combined, the Pacific Ocean would still be larger than it was thousands of years ago when sailors first discovered this ocean. When they were traveling across the vast ocean, they had no idea about anything under the sea, and they had no idea about the road ahead of them. At that time, there was no technology for navigation that could help them find their way. Basically, at that time, sailors had to rely on the sun or the moon and stars to cross the ocean. And because of this problem of direction, 2 or 3 more strange problems would come along the way, as happened to Captain Ellis. Once, Captain Ellis was crossing the Pacific Ocean with his sailors, and one night, a storm suddenly started. The whole sky was covered with black clouds. All the stars in the sky were covered under the clouds, due to which they lost their way in a severe storm. When it was morning, they saw that they were lost in the vast ocean. There was nothing to eat. There was no water, no food. The sailors' condition became very bad due to hunger and thirst. They were thirsty due to lack of water, even in a vast ocean. Many sailors even died. Captain Thyrer found the shore with difficulty, and then the journey to build the lighthouse began. Alexandria was located on the Mediterranean Sea in Egypt. At that time, the ruler of the city was Ptolemy II Philadelphia. But the biggest problem for this kingdom at that time was their location. If you look at this picture carefully, you will understand that to enter this city, you had to travel through this place, and there were many large rocks around this place. As a result of which, when the ships that came to trade in the city passed through this road, the ships easily hit the rocks, and as a result, sometimes these ships would sink or face major damage. Therefore, due to the decrease in commercial ships in this kingdom day by day, Ptolemy then ran to the most famous architect of that time, Sostas of Cnidus, to protect his kingdom. He prayed to him for relief from his problem. Together, the two came up with an idea and built such a fortress on the water. He started working according to the plan, the light on which would guide the ships at sea and also warn them of rocks under the water. But even then, he could not imagine that what he was going to do would one day become one of the most famous creations in the world, which would become known as the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The height of the lighthouse in Alexandria was 384 feet. It was made entirely of white marble. At that time, a fire was constantly burning on the top of this lighthouse, for which oil and wood had to be supplied here. This lighthouse was later recognized as one of the 7th wonders of the world. It was not only famous for its height, but also for its extraordinary design. At that time, Sassus created a design with mirrors and lenses to spread the light or intensity so that the light of this lighthouse could guide the sailors of ships far away. So when the news of the construction of this lighthouse or lighthouse spread, the sailors were relieved. Breathe out, because now they will no longer lose their way on the way to Alexandria, and the ship will not be broken by the rocks. In this way, the idea of the lighthouse spread throughout the world. Although at first this lighthouse was used only to guide ships in the sea, but over time, when the number of commercial ships increased, lighthouses or lighthouses began to be built in places where the height of the rocks was close to the height of the seawater, or where there were many rocks that could easily hit the ship. Although in the beginning, the lighthouses were always lit with fire, but this was not a good idea, because for this, it was necessary to always keep a supply of coal or firewood. Of course, there was no other way out. Then candles or lamps were also used, but the light of the fire could not go very far. That's when it was discovered that electric bulbs were also used instead of fire in electric lighthouses. But even then, this light could not go very far. This is because the lenses were placed behind the bulbs. Then the scientists of that time discovered that if the lens was placed in front, then the light could reach further, but those lenses also had a lot of problems because the lenses of that time were very thick. And just then, a French scientist named Fresnel invented a special type of lens that all the light coming through this special lens he made would go directly to a point, due to which the light could be sent very easily to a specific point and far away. Nowadays, almost all lighthouses use Fresnel's lens. This invention of the lens gave the lighthouse a new look, which is why ships can still travel safely on the seabed. After knowing these terrifying aspects of a lighthouse, your heart has become even more trembling. Yes, and that is why no normal person wants to stay in this lonely lighthouse, even after paying so much, because no one ever wants to lose themselves in this terrifying and lonely place. If this story shocked you, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more real stories like this. Don't forget to subscribe, because the next story might be even more disturbing. More crazy stories coming soon, don't miss out. Like this video and subscribe now. You don't want to miss what's coming next.